Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in as always, and thanks for all your ongoing support, likes, subscribes, comments, discussions, hints, tips and tricks, all massively appreciated. Right, today, I promise myself I won't say a total break from the norm for the channel, but for something completely and utterly different and a little bit for the Subaru fans out there. I hope you're still watching and I haven't scared you all off with the continuous cleaning. But today we are doing Defi gauge installation part one. When I say part one, we are 2 o'clock. We've been washing a good friend's Subaru this morning, which you will see on the channel soon, probably before this one if I'm honest, and we're now getting into gauge installation. So we're going to do the engine bay side prep first, getting set up for the water sensor, oil sensor, etc, etc. But I thought before we get into that, we'll do a quick unboxing and we'll have a look at the gauges because they are a thing of beauty. Everyone agrees except my bank account. And then once we've had a little look at that, we'll start looking at the engine bay side, and we'll also have a little nose at the gauge pod, which I had handmade in America. Actually, I'll keep this running because I intend to waffle away. I've remembered what I was thinking about this morning while I was contemplating today's video. So I had seen, obviously when I looked for a Forester, I had seen many different factory specs, standard kit, OEM kit, etc, etc, third-party gauges, you name it, I've seen a lot. Anyway, so I've fancied gauges and or a gauge pod for ages. Now, a lot of people will know, Subaru enthusiasts will know, if you've seen if you've looked at gauge pods, you can find non-Forester specific ones, and then it sticks out like a dog's nutsack. My preferred one was a Zero Sports, and just me being me, I wanted to still have the usage of the top cubby in the just above the clock with a push button so I'd go up and down. Obviously I know I'm going to route the cables in there, but I just wanted to keep that OEM feel. Anyway, going back to the Zero Sports gauge, I'll put a picture of that up now. You can just have a look through that. I'll also put a rolling preview of some of the gauges I've seen online, and I'll also put an image of what this one looks like, and I'll show you the picture that I saw, which sort of said to me that's the one. Anyway, I found some discussion about it, and it was by a company called BNA Solutions, and a lot of discussion on the internet. Let me just check to see how that is for framing. Yeah, right. So you can have a bit of me and a bit of this. So a lot of discussion on the internet regarding this was like, he's hard to pin down, they take ages to build. I had incidentally communicated with him once before and he'd never replied. However, I did finally pin him down. He was a very nice chap. I told him I'm in no rush whatsoever. Apologies about the noise. And apparently he would take a stock cubby lid and then fabricate the gauge pod around that. And here it is. Happy days, happy days. Feels a little coarse. As I say, this is the first time I've opened it, as you can tell from all the toing and throwing. But yeah, probably took 6 months altogether, approximately. Oh yeah. Interesting. So all built around the standard lid. So in theory, this would all fit up and will still pop and have cubby capabilities. Got somewhere to route all your cables, and then we'll get the gauges mounted in here. It looks like it's slightly angled to the driver's side, which is wonderful. It did come from America, so it'd be ironic if it's pointing the other way. That would really annoy me. But yeah, it's got slight pitch this way. Regarding the finish, I reckon some good old-fashioned, who doesn't like a cleaning product? Who knew? Some good old-fashioned cleaning product all over that, and I'll work on that to get it as close to an OEM look as the rest of the dash. But I think that is going to suit me absolutely fine. Right, let me just get in front of the camera. So yeah, not bad at all. Like I say, the Zero Sports ones, if you could find them, were like 500 quid, and the ones I'd seen, brackets broke here, there and everywhere, needed repair. Oh, nightmare. And I don't mind paying big money, but I'm not paying big money for something that needs fixing. So that's that part. In here is just the sandwich plate for the oil temperature. This is little wide joint. Not a wide joint. Yeah, it might be. Like a splitter. 16mm splitter for the water. That's to pick up the water temperature. Obviously, regular viewers of the channel know that we have got, I already have the Defi controller. I already have a Defi boost gauge. So I went for, this is all the fitting equipment. I went for oil temperature, oil pressure, and water temperature, I believe. As you all know, I have been well renowned for having to correct myself on video or in post. But there you go. That's the joys of doing everything live, real time, just off the top of my head. So yes, these cost a fortune. eBay UK price, August 2025, we were looking at, there were companies selling them for an Impreza, 3 grand. I fortunately, this is my first time, and I do say that a lot for the channel, and I'm more than happy to say that on this occasion. My first time is your first time. So, oil pressure, wonderful. And just going back to it, as I was saying about, wanting it to be as OEM as possible. So if you were lucky enough to find a brochure, and I know one of my friends has found brochures for these, which is really nice, but loads of money. Anyway, if you're lucky enough to get hold of an STI brochure, these were standard factory option. Oh, and hats off to the seller. I mean, these cost me, I think, $16.50 for the gauges, and an upgraded or an uprated controller, because I was worried that my one was being a little bit temperamental. Belt and braces and all that. I didn't want to fit 350 quid's worth of shroud, 1600 quid's worth of gauges, and then go, oh, the controller don't work. Trying to get this in a position where it's as good for you as it is for me, because like I say, oh, pristine water temperature. I hope that's in shot. Lovely, lovely. We'll have a little look at the controller as well, because as I say, that is, I hadn't seen one like this before. I think it's just like and this is a guess, I think it's like a generation newer. So it looks a little bit more advanced than the one I had. So most likely we'll end up choosing to fit it. I'll double check with the guy that I bought these off. If he's happy for me to post his Facebook and details, Instagram, etc., in the description for this video, I will do that, because you can tap him up. I believe he used to live in Japan, now lives in Australia, and he's a great resource for rare and hard to find, because of his contacts, Subaru, JDM parts, etc. And last but not least, was I right? Ah, no, I wasn't. Yes, I was. Oil temp, oil pressure, water temperature. Lovely. And they look in fine condition. No complaints whatsoever. Pins are good. Oh, and this was another thing that was really important. These two matching serial numbers, because this was part of a group also with a boost gauge. But because I swapped out boost gauge, because I've got one already for water temp, this one has a different serial number. Again, another way you can sort of tell that they're not like cheap AliExpress knockoffs, because if you find these for 100 quid, chances are they're not real. Right, so last but not least, let me just double check that we're still rambling away like a madman. Let's have a little nose at the controller, and then we'll get down the business end. Ugh, caught me. So in here should be, again, I've had these for 6 to 8 months, and as you can see, this isn't mocked up for YouTube. I genuinely haven't opened them yet. So it's like Christmas. I'll say that now. In 3 hours' time, I'll probably be wanting to cry, and will be not enjoying installation as much. Ooh. For a minute there, I thought we had some cut wires. Oh, that's handy. Come with bracket. My last one never had a bracket. It's driven me mental. So we've got a slightly upgraded controller. Looks like it's still got the plastic coating on the top. I know. It's just me. I like that sort of thing. So yeah, I've got the little bracket, which is nice. So yeah, slightly upgraded controller. Ever so slightly different to my existing one. Might have to work out fitment. We'll get to that bit and we'll work on it. But anyway, that's what the new controller looks like. Happy days. And then, you know, tons and tons and tons of various leads and paraphernalia, which is why my friend James, who I met from YouTube channel, I believe is correct to say, is here today with his wonderful, sorry, waiting for the gimbal to catch up as always. He's here today with his wonderful Forester pre-facelift Sdi, which we've just spent a little bit of time cleaning and now getting into a little bit of DIY. Right, we'll get business end and we'll be back in a mo. Right, so we're going to go with the existing Sg9 controller because it's all wired in and working correctly with my current boost gauge, despite the fact I have a new controller. But what that means is we're able to go through and check the color ID. So we're going in with oil temperature to white and we're doing oil pressure to black. So with my good friend James, we are getting into double checking to make sure everything fits up with the Mishimoto sandwich plate, which will be installed in due course for that part. So all good. So it's just going to be a case of fitting the sandwich plate, routing some wires, and then we're going to hopefully push the cables up through that grommet there, so we don't have to cut any holes in this, for example. We'll go straight through this one. It's already got a nice little gap, so that'll be good. We'll push all the sensors in through there. So we'll get in, just drop the plastic under tray, get the sandwich plate, try not to lose too much oil because I only had oil 500 miles ago, but it's no real drama because got a little bit of oil to top up if necessary. Not going to film that part. Drop in the oil filter, putting the sandwich plate on, quickly doing it back up. We don't need to see that part. No one needs to see two grown men grappling underneath a Subaru. No matter what you say, can't make me do that. So it's just a case of checking out all the cables. Quite interesting, really. Obviously, you know, even though these are all from a used vehicle, they're all in pretty nice condition, really. So it's just your standard standard thing, getting nice and organised, making sure everything fits up and plays correctly with the Mishimoto sandwich plate. There's the part number for that. If you're pursuing a similar route, and we'll get that in and start running the cable in straight away. So for reference, just to confirm fully, because I'll just have to check this with James, because this isn't my area of expertise, but this fits on where the oil filter normally would be. So as an additional, the oil filter plugs into there.
It does, yep.
So these two holes, one is for the oil temperature and one is for the oil pressure. So both of those data cables are going to come back up into the controller, the existing older controller, and then going to have another cable coming out with the relevant pinouts into the gauges so that the information is relayed on the dash. So that is, again, oil pressure and oil temperature. Doesn't matter which side?
Doesn't matter which side.
Super job. So, against what I'd said, we are going to witness this part. So just on the end of my finger, you can see the engine oil filter, and we are poised to remove and then potentially lose approximately half a litre of oil, which we will catch just to prevent it going on the drive. But then we'll top up the car after we've finished fitting the sandwich plate. As I say, we'll top that up with approximately half a litre just to bring it back up to the correct level. And then we've just got to buzz this on, which has been pre-configured and wired. So we'll get the Mishimoto sandwich plate in, and then we've got to start looking at routing the wires, cable tying them, etc., and chasing them up towards the back of the engine, up to the firewall, so we can start pushing them through the grommet. We ready to go?
Ready.
Are you going in?
Yep. Going in.
It's one of them. Right, we can see the target point. Obviously, I'm laid on the floor like a beached whale, trying to keep cam in position. So it should be good, really. You know, get a real-time installation of the gauges. Only part you're going to miss out is the initial wiring phase. But I think with Subarus, for the most part, you're tapping into existing harness points. It's not a case of, you don't need a degree in wiring. So we're having to sacrifice a filter. It's only 500 miles old. But hey, here we go.
Trying to be careful with it, see if we can keep it.
We are where we are. Subaru's never going to complain about having another filter. And you can see there's a few bits of rust that I need to be dealing with. But that'll give me something to keep me busy during the autumn months and the winter prep. So we'll get in and a bit of ACF 50 to treat some of that, or at least stop it in its tracks where applicable or possible, and then get some Lanagard on so we see it through another winter. Right. So we've just dropped down the plastic under the tray enough to gain access. Should lose a small quantity of oil, nothing stratospheric. I can still see a fair degree of translucency in that, which is pleasing for me.
Oil looks nice.
Yeah. Right, so that should give us a better view now, so we can see exactly the point we're targeting. Who knew? I've worked out how to film on the side, so I can stick the DJI under. So we've got visual and we've got sound and reasonable cam angle. So this is sandwich plate installation.
Give the area a nice white damp.
So does that have to be torqued up to a specific setting?
This is from Mishimoto's paperwork, 35 foot-pounds.
Pucker.
Trying to hold everything still.
Yeah, so I was thinking it's doing that thing where it wants to spin and apply torque at the same time.
Let's see. We might be able to let it come round or move it back. The trials of front garden DIY.
Yeah. Lovely.
There we go.
Right. That's the shot of the day. That's as close as we're getting.
Fresh oil filter.
Let's try and... There we go. Nice. So, sandwich plate has been installed. Next task is going to be chasing these. All the wiring, etc., etc., is going to go down along the underneath, plugged into the sandwich plate, which is down there, and then cable tie the cables along here and then neatly insert through there, and that's that section out of the way. And then we'll start looking at splicing into one of the water hoses behind the intercooler, and then we'll fit that T-piece, and we've got that sensor installed as well. So that is sandwich plate in and cables routed. We won't go through that part of the process. Obviously that differs per model of your Subaru. Obviously it's different for James's one and ever so slightly different for my one, and it's just a case of finding where you can chase the cables as far away from heat shields, exhaust, heat sources as possible, but so it won't rattle around, and then possibly going along part of the box section underneath the engine, etc., etc., and then chasing the cables all back up in readiness for... Oh, it's all done. Sorry, my bad. So it's all chased along there, ready to push through. We entered a slight snag with the water one because the little Y piece we bought, or T piece, essentially when you screwed the sensor probe into there, literally 2 turns of the thread on the sensor and the sensor was hitting the other side, so we needed to get another version with a slightly bigger key or core part of the body so that the sensor or the probe will fit in. My apologies, I wasn't holding the mic properly. So that's that side. Mainly we've got the oil temp and the oil pressure in, and just about to get the under tray finalised. Had to do a fair amount of sanding just to remove where this sort of spatter effect had been applied. That had built up or reduced the diameter of the holes, the apertures a little bit, so I had to rub that down. And in the next video we'll start getting those in. Obviously want to do it and get the cables in situ as we push them in to get the push fit sorted, and that is about it. That's where we are for that one. So electrical wiring, we're good because we've got the old box already in the car. That has got to be fitted up, but apparently they're quite straightforward. Push fit those in and pre-fit all the cables into the back of those so that they're ready. Then we push them home and they're nice tight fit, and that's that done. And so in the part 2, that will be all that finalising part, the bit inside the car, and just finishing off the water temp sensor probe, the T-piece, and pushing it up through the grommet, and that's that finished. Right, and that is that for that one. I'm not going to do a tight shot sign out. That is just that. So hopefully that will be of some help. We'll summarise everything that happened for genome gauge install. Hopefully in part 2 they'll be up, mounted. We'll have gone through any associated gremlins and last minute snags and problems, but in part 2 we'll get that finalised. All right, thanks for tuning in as always, and look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. All the very best. Take care. Bye bye.